It's Friday, June 20th, 2025, the first day of summer. Welcome to episode 159 of the Alameda Postcast, an audio service of the Alameda Post. I'm your host, Scott Peeler. In this edition of the Postcast, Alameda PD takes down a scammer and honors one of their own. 3,000 take part in Alameda's No Kings rally. Mia Bonta declares California is for all. The latest real estate sales. Quilts and pinball, celebrating the achievements of women. Get to know Mozart and Verdi. Events to get you up and going, plus yours truly spends some time with the next generation of podcasters. These stories and more on this episode of the Alameda Postcast. Before I get to this week's stories, things are a little different here on episode 159. I've spent the last few days as an instructor at the California Historical Radio Society's Broadcasting and Media Summer Camp for middle and high school. The students have been learning how to turn an idea into a podcast, and they even got to record their work at CHRS's studio, which blends classic equipment with modern technology. During the podcast, you'll get to hear some of their work. The future is in good hands. Our top story. Last month, Alameda Police instituted a sting operation which resulted in the arrest of a suspect in a scam operation who was attempting to defraud an Alameda resident of more than $100,000. Detectives have been alerted to the scam, which began with a fake pop-up message on the victim's computer, the message instructing the victim to call a fraudulent tech support number. The fraudulent tech support employee, posing as a representative of a legitimate company, claimed the victim's computer and bank accounts had been compromised. After lengthy calls with individuals posing as tech support employees, bank personnel, and law enforcement officials, the victim was instructed to withdraw cash from their accounts. A fake courier was then sent to collect the money under the pretense of protecting the funds. This scam has been perpetrated on multiple Alameda residents, has led to significant financial losses. So when APD detectives were alerted to an active attempt to defraud another resident, they quickly launched a successful sting operation that resulted in the arrest of a Manteca man after he retrieved a package he believed contained currency from the victim. The investigation is ongoing. For details and tips on how to avoid scams, see alamedapost.com/news. Staying with Alameda PD, in a recent Facebook post, APD acknowledged the passing of retired Lieutenant Charles Wood at the age of 92. Lieutenant Wood served APD for 24 years, from 1959 until his retirement in 1983. If the name seems familiar to you, it's because he served as project director of the construction of the current Alameda Police Department building. If you've ever been to APD, you've seen his name on a plaque commemorating his efforts. The Alameda Post sends our thanks and our condolences to the friends and family of Lieutenant Wood.
The only news source devoted to the city of Alameda, the Alameda Post, online at alamedapost.com.
Just a little sample of the work being done at the CHRS camp. More to come. Last Saturday, the nationwide No Kings protest drew between 4 and 6 million people to thousands of sites across the country. Here in Alameda, it was estimated that 3,000 took part. That's just under 4% of the population and about twice the percentage of the national average. If you're wondering if that was the biggest single-day protest in American history, the answer is no. That record is held by the original 1970 Earth Day protests, when 20 million people demanded action that led to the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency. At the time, that represented about 10% of the American population. In and amongst the demonstrators, none other than Alameda Police Chief Nishant Joshi, who provided a sharp contrast to the rhetoric coming from officials in other jurisdictions. He told the Post, quote, "I want folks here. I think it takes a lot for people to step up and exercise their First Amendment rights, and I think that there's always the fear that that's going to be infringed upon. I'm physically here to demonstrate. No, we're going to safeguard that. We're here to make sure that people are able to exercise their First Amendment right to free speech, and so I plan on marching up with them," end quote. For a look at the protest, including a video slideshow, see Juliana Means' article at alamedapost.com/news. The day before the protest, Assemblymember Mia Bonta released a newsletter to her constituents entitled California is for All, Immigration Rights and Resources, in which she noted, quote, "More than 1 in every 4 members of our district were born somewhere other than the United States, and these threats can be incredibly distressing regardless of immigration status," end quote. Ms. Bonta also outlined steps that were being taken and provided a guide to your rights if you are confronted by immigration officials. For a look at these rights, plus helpful phone numbers, see alamedapost.com/news. And we'll be right back after this word from the California Historical Radio Society.
Hello, Bay Area, from the California Historical Radio Society in Alameda. Come visit the museum, open Wednesday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There are a variety of items dating all the way back to 1890 and as new as the 2000s.
On July 19th, Radio Day by the Bay with live music and free museum tours and food trucks. Learn more at chrsradio.org.
Thanks, folks. As we do every other week, time for a look at the latest real estate numbers. From June 3rd until June 16th, 20 properties changed hands, 12 on the main island, 8 on Bay Farm. Prices range from $730,000 to $3.1 million. 13 of the properties sold for above asking price, 4 below, and 3 at list. The average time on market seems to be creeping up just a bit, now hovering a tad over 2 weeks. Full details on all the properties in Liz Rush's article at alamadapost.com/real-estate.
Find your new furry best friend. Check out Friends of the Alameda Animal Shelter's Pet of the Week, Saturdays at alamadapost.com.
Liz Rush usually provides the story, but this week she was part of the story. On Thursday, June 12th, a gathering was held at the Alameda Naval Air Museum to commemorate the Women's Armed Services Integration Act, enacted in 1948, which allowed women to serve in the U.S. Armed Forces outside of wartime. Because of this, June 12th is recognized in 12 states as Women's Veterans Day, with California officially proclaiming it in 2015. The ceremony honored keynote speaker Tricia Kelly, who is in active duty as commanding officer of the Naval Reserve Center in Alameda, with a quilt of valor, along with Army veteran, our own Liz Rush. Both quilts were presented by Michelle McCumber and handmade by sisters Nancy and Judy Him. A quilt of valor awarded to an active duty member or veteran of the military who has been touched by the war is a way of saying thanks for service and sacrifice for the nation. Story and pictures in Juliana Means' article at alamadapost.com/news. Women were also honored this week with a new exhibit at the Pacific Pinball Museum. The special exhibit room now hosts Behind the Back Glass, an exhibit celebrating women who shaped pinball. One of the more interesting notables, Suzanne Chani, for her groundbreaking sound design on 1980s Xenon. The electronic music pioneer provided the first female voice in pinball. Another pioneer, Dolly Parton, to this day the only real-life woman to be featured on her own pinball machine. Yes, there have been 3 Elvira machines, but Elvira is a character played by Cassandra Peterson. Vicki Wen was at the opening of the exhibit. Find story and pictures at alamadapost.com/alameda-life.
Get to know the stories of Alameda with award-winning historian Dennis Evanovsky. Join us for our next history walking tour. Get your tickets at alamadapost.com/tours.
That's right, Dennis Evanovsky has another tour in store. This weekend, get to know Caroline McLean, the woman for whom Caroline Street is named. She's also the reason we have Verdi and Mozart. And on those streets, we'll be examining the Queen Anne style, get reintroduced to Marcuse and Rommel, and learn that no, Chapin Street is not misspelled. Tickets at alamadapost.com/tours. Background in Dennis's article, What's in a Name, at alamadapost.com/history.
My name is Anna.
I'm Allison.
I'm Lonnie.
I'm Mia.
And I'm Layla.
We are from the California Historical Radio Society.
Come join us and explore the history of radios throughout the decades.
Observe vintage radio and recording equipment.
Learn more about the birthplace of broadcasting.
We are open Wednesday and Saturday, 10 to 3, or by appointment. Find more information at
chrsradio.org.
The Food Bank Players enjoyed a successful opening weekend of Taming of the Shrew. Kelsey Gores was in attendance and details how director Gene Kahane made a few changes to the Bard's problematically sexist script to align it more with modern sensibilities while retaining the knockout character of the farcical original. Kelsey's full review, along with pictures, at alamadapost.com/arts. As always, some great events this weekend, curated by Amanda Laird in her all-around Alameda column. The second installment of Rising Seas, the Rock and Roll Beer Stroll, and Altarena Playhouse, continuing their production of Suddenly Last Summer by Tennessee Williams. alamadapost.com/alameda-life.
Events and activities in Alameda and beyond at 94501.info.
That's where you can find all sorts of events, including the Sand Castle and Sand Sculpture Contest on Crown Beach on Saturday. And as always on Saturday, don't forget the Farmers Market. Thanks again to the entire crew at the California Historical Radio Society for helping to nurture the next generation of podcasters and broadcasters. Extra special thanks to the students who stepped up to the mic. If you haven't checked out the museum, put it on your list and mark your calendars for July 19th's Radio Day by the Bay. Look for the Alameda Post on all the social media sites and get the Alameda Postcast wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Scott Peeler. It's been a lot of fun playing with the California Historical Radio Society. I'll be back next week with episode 160 of the Alameda Postcast.